We're good.
Does that mean we're live when you said we're gonna go?
Are
Oh,
we
my
live?
camera's on. I'm assuming yes. And you know what? We're doing it live
You
every
changed
time.
the brightness on my computer for the first time today, and I'm in a whole new world.
A whole new world. Hello, everyone. Welcome on in. We're live. Hey, I never know. Okay, so look, I've gone through this with our producer. And I love Rachel. She deals with all of our shenanigans in the group chat, the pre-show, the live. But there's so much that like Rachel has to wear like 16 hats while she's doing it. Her like your live is very like calm because I think that's like a way to stay calm while we're like she's doing everything behind the scenes. So I'm never like, what was that? I was like, is that live? I was like, are we good? I was like, I don't know. I think like we need a little light that we like flip on like a live studio.
Like a little on-air light. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, that'd be nice. I also
Otherwise,
want to
we
say
can just yelling.
quickly, while we're getting like settled, I would like to point out that we both dressed for the occasion. We didn't even plan this, but your Dale Jr. hat, I love that for the Bristol recap, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I wore the most obnoxious Bristol shirt that I could find.
I mean, the only Bristol shirt anyone should wear, honestly.
No, for sure. Here's the thing. Look, I have like a some really cool Bristol hats, but it wasn't a hat day. Platform as an opportunity to display uh red justify my excessive NASCAR clothing and hat collection. So,
I
get
agree. I have
excited.
a lot of motorsports stuff. I feel like I can fill a separate closet, or we can like just do a YouTube video of all of our motorsports merch, whether it's jackets, t-shirts. T-shirts are obviously the most popular. They give those away like hotcakes. What else? I feel like some
Ash.
people have
So,
stickers.
not to like self promote, I won't even really try to do that. But on my YouTube channel, in my free time outside of my job, my buddies and I started this series where we go to vintage shops and highlight them, and like oftentimes we'll highlight like the NASCAR pieces they have, just given like that's what I'm shopping for. We When you come in for stuff, like next time I see you, we should do a little like something similar and like show off our collections or something. That'd be really fun.
Yeah, I have a lot of. I mean, I think a lot of motorsports fans have a lot of motorsport like paraphernalia, like diecast and mini helmets and flags. I'm sure some people have bumpers and tires as well, in addition to
That is
clothing.
my favorite thing. Is like obscure NASCAR memorabilia. And like the late 90s, early 2000s was like prime time for that. Like I remember this might have been later than that when this came out, but like as an example, a Michael McDowell calculator.
Oh, interesting.
You didn't know you needed it, but now you do.
Sorry, is it like a TI-83? Like it's a graphing calculator? Like, can I bring it to
So
the
I actually don't
SAT?
do
Or
math, so these are questions that I cannot answer. I will have to refer you to someone else.
I'm assuming it's just like a regular calculator then.
Yeah, yeah, I don't really know. But the fact that we have and there were like toasters. I know they had like Dale Jr. toasters and like all this kind of stuff. I would love to see in the chat, like if somebody has obscure NASCAR memorabilia, which I'm also now figuring out the chat, so bear with me. But I'm excited to hear what y'all have.
Yeah. Jessie sounds like she
Maybe a
fell down
birthday
well.
sound.
Well, I don't think you need to do anything. We'll have Rachel finagle there in the background. Fell down a well. Call Lassie. Someone did compliment your hat in the YouTube Twitch chat. Alexander, thank you so much. Nice Bristol shirt, Jessie. Very nice. But we will fix Jessie's sound as quickly as we can. Holds up Dale Jr. first win commemorative beer stein. Yeah, that's pretty
I like
unique.
that. If I wasn't set here right now, I would run up and show you my NASCAR 50th anniversary beer stein that I drink coffee out of. So meet me for a cup of coffee with your beer stein.
Interesting. Cup of coffee. Oh, now you don't hear Jessie at all. Interesting. That's unfortunate. Oh wait, now people can hear you. Wow. Okay, this delay. See, doing a live show is my favorite thing. 'Cause I get to interact with chat. We get to shoot the stuff, but then all the audio things. We cleared it up though. She's back.
We're
She's
figuring
crispy.
it out.
We're figuring it out. So yeah, I want a bumper. That would be cool, but I feel like those are hard to come by. Maybe I could probably buy one
Okay,
online. But
Question. Where do you put it? That is like my biggest question when I see these people leaving the racetrack or leaving like the places that I shop and they're like dragging these like giant pieces of sheet metal that they just like took. Where do you put it?
I
Do you
mean,
mount it on the wall?
yeah. I was like, what kind of what would you like the answer to be? I was like,
Well,
yeah,
that's what I'm asking.
you put it over the fireplace like a prized deer head, except it's a bumper. You can do that. If people have fireplaces, you can put over the
No,
couch
I
behind
didn't
you.
mean like in your house. I meant like how
Oh,
do you display it? Okay, yes, you
oh
mount
yeah,
it on the
exactly.
wall. You just mount it. But you want like a nice, beautiful, complete bumper. Like I get that, and I can see how you could
Right.
mount that. But like, you know what I mean? When you see people like leaving the track with some stuff, and I'm like, where does that fit in? I'm like, your wife is not gonna let you hang that up.
An urban video in the chat says it's 1,000% getting thrown out when you move, which is a good point. I don't know how people collect so much stuff. Okay, my parents are Polish, and they always complain that Americans collect too much stuff. Their house is very minimalistic, and then they see my stream background. I was like, but this is the only stuff I have minus the race cart clothes. So all of this like goes in a box. But I know some people
Yeah.
have so much stuff throughout the years because they stayed in the same place or they never had to move. It's just like that's a lot of stuff. But if it brings you joy, me and Marie Kondo tell you to keep it.
Okay, I'm so glad you brought her up because you are perpetually online. So I'm really, really hoping that you know this reference because if not, this is going to be like kind of really awkward. Have you heard about the new Marie Kondo theory that people are using about poop?
What?
Okay,
I'm sorry,
great. Now
what?
this is really awkward.
How did we're
Okay,
on the okay, that's fine.
I'm
We'll
so
get to NASCAR
sorry.
in a second.
We'll get to
Yeah,
NASCAR in a second. But like,
please indulge me.
I was the same way. I was like, but now I'm like, okay. So Marie Kondo was like, things that don't bring you joy or whatever, you need to get rid of them. This theory is if that item was covered in poop or if it had like poop on it, would you throw it away or would you take the time to clean it off? And if you would throw it away, you don't need it. I'm just
Alright.
saying, it's all the rage right now on the internet, at least on my internet.
I don't know what side of the internet Jesse's on. I'm gonna be 100% honest. I am chronically
Has
online.
anyone heard of this? Please, please, please tell me someone's heard of this. If not, I'm gonna have to text my mom and have her come in the chat and just at least like justify something because I feel like I'm crazy.
I'm filling out your,
I'll send you TikToks about it when we get off, but
yeah, I have not heard of that. I might be filling out your application for the 5th floor of Sing Sing, but besides that, you are you were all nope, haven't heard of it, but you're totally fine. You're correct. Weird
NASCAR's like, well, this went well, but I think we liked Ash alone, actually, you know? Like
She didn't break up. Um, she has a really sick, Denny Hamlin race use helmet from, Atlantis King. That is really cool.
that's sick.
What the other thing I have from NASCAR drivers, this Ryan Blaney flag, which is a checkered flag, but purple for his charity, regarding around Alzheimer's awareness and such. And then the rest is just like other paraphernalia from all the motorsports that I enjoy. I feel like it can get really niche, but yeah, I that's what I like about motorsport fans because I think we can get really specific, going to race team mascots of Rexy from AL Racing and then Random Randall's the Gizmo Raccoon, or we could just do like race helmets or car diecast or bumpers. But I did see people with fuel cans. I've seen people with tires. Did you know? I mean, sorry, I know this is NASCAR, but for IndyCar, you'll never leave with a tire. They have people dressed in plain clothes to make sure you don't take a tire out of the racetrack.
No way.
So, this is
Why
like
why
proprietary
they
super
just
secret information, apparently. So, yeah,
wow, interesting. Hmm.
fun
I'm glad
fact.
you mentioned this though because I forgot to change out my diecast behind me, so I'll have to do that next week. But I've decided at this point, like you're right. Like if you just start collecting, you can just you keep collecting, and then before you know it, you have a NASCAR everything. You have all the helmets and all the everything. So my rule that I have with diecasts for buying them for myself is that like they have to be like obscure. You know what I mean? Or they have to have like a meaning. Like something I like the most like random diecasts. So I'm gonna put my obscure diecasts behind me as we go and share those with you guys.
Do you
I'm
know how
excited
many you
for
have,
you.
diecast wise?
I don't have that many. I really don't. And it's funny because people ask me all the time about like, "Oh, well, didn't your dad like have a million die casts?" And like, He did, but he didn't bother to collect them, like, he wasn't that kind of a person. Also, my mom was like, "You're not gonna collect those." They moved a lot too, so, there's that whole element. But anyways, um, he would bring anything home and just let us play with it. So, it kinda makes me sick sometimes to think about the stuff that, like, we probably just ripped out of the box and, like, played with on the floor that's, like, really, really precious and cool, but that's okay. My dad still has some ones that, like, mean something to him, so
He was saying she
it
definitely has more than 50. Over under 50, I'm taking the over.
okay, back to my previous question. Where do you store them? Like, do you display them? Which, like, is
Yeah.
super cool if you've got, like, a display like, I'm just so curious about how people do this. Is it a shoe? Like, I just need to know. I need to know.
Yeah, I think the shelving comes into it depends, but yeah, I think people display them. You don't stick them in a box in a garage and just be like, "Oh, I have this. I'm never gonna look at it." I mean, the point is to have them and to enjoy their presence. And if you don't want to take it out of the box because it's a collector's item, which is another discussion point, which I disagree with. Q says, "Okay, I'm over 100 plus now." With that response,
Yeah, when you talk about not taking things out of the box, so, like, I say was, am the kind of person that I get a sticker and I will hold on to that sticker because I can't commit to where I'm gonna put it, and I'll just hold on to it so long that it never gets anywhere. Lose it before I put it anywhere because I, like, can't commit to where I would put it. Are you a sticker committer?
no, I'm not a sticker committer. I do the same
Okay.
thing. At this point, I feel like I need a binder, like I did with my Pokemon cards, and just like put them in all the slots, all the stickers that I have. But then that's kind of lame because then you don't do anything with it.
Well,
But
like, it's like I saw a girl one time just, like, take a sticker that someone gave her, and she was like, "Oh, awesome," and, like, slapped it on, like, her water bottle or something, and I was like, how do you just commit to that, like, so quickly? So, anyways, I'm
someone on
glad
the
we're on
YouTube
the
says,
same
"How much do
page.
you think Noah's vomit race winning helmet would go for on eBay?" Oh, would anyone actually want that? That is absolutely gross. I agree. I love how Rachel's chiming in, our producer. She's like, "No, that's gross.
Yeah,
Absolutely
that's
do not."
gross.
Oh,
I
man.
love this
I have a Haley
comment.
Deegan Fender. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, no, that's the one I was gonna read, go for it.
I have a Haley Deegan Fender off the throwback car from Darlington. It's in a spare bedroom. My girlfriend called it the race car trash.
I can see your girlfriend, like, her, like, friends are coming into town, her parents are coming into town, she's like, "Here's the spare bedroom, please ignore the piece of sheet metal on the wall," like
But there's
but,
no
like,
way
to
sticky
you
ball fans aren't crazier or, like, as crazy, right? Like, people have there's literally a guy in my condo complex thing, whatever, townhouse complex. On his balcony, he has 2 seats from the University of Tennessee sorry, go Vols, whatever people. He has 2 stadium seats from whenever they renovated it, like, on his balcony. He, like, literally has the chairs. Like, what do
wow.
you I don't even know if he sits on them. I've never seen him sit on them. He just has 2 of them, whether they
No,
were season tickets
you're so
or for
right.
family. But, like, we can carry wheels out. It's fine.
You are so right because, like, how many times do you go into a house and they've got, like, a framed jersey on the wall and you're like, "Sick." Like, it is sick. I'm being, like, a little snarky, but it's just because people, like, look at NASCAR and they're like, "Oh, what are you guys doing?" And I'm like, "The same thing y'all are.
Yeah,
Supporting our
frame
sport."
jerseys. Yeah, exactly. Cut out for football players. Yeah, ours are just a little bit more in your face. Like, you can't really ours are just
Have
more
a
obvious.
fire suit.
Yeah, fire suit like, a signed baseball is one thing, or the guy who took the Shohei Ohtani's 50-50 ball and, like, ran away with it. Like, baseballs are just
Yeah,
smaller.
that's crazy that he ran away with that. Do you keep it or do you sell it?
I mean, you would give it back to Shohei, so he has it,
He
but and
did give
then
it
they would
back because I know they
oh,
ran
no,
him
they didn't do
down.
that, but you would hope that someone would give it back, like a thing like that. If it's like Derek Jeter's, like, 106th home run that no one cares about, then I would keep it. I'm not giving it to any children, and that's my hot take. If it's a Yankees game, it's mine. Um And yeah, I wouldn't have to give it back, it's mine. But if it's like a commemorative number or a big deal or a record breaker, I'd give it back to the Yankees organization, to the player, and hopefully they would give me something back in return. Mookie Betts also gave a player back in return something like a baseball bat when the person in the, outfield gave
Yeah.
back the ball because it was the first home run for this player, etcetera, etcetera. Anyway, yeah, usually there's some sort of, like, mutual agreement of respect there,
You would think, yeah.
so yeah, if
That's like
I
an
wanted to
unspoken
camper
respect thing in sports.
If I want to take Joey Logano's Coca-Cola can he just drank out of. No, just kidding. A little too far. Number takes the same space as a what? Am I allowed to say that? What is that?
Oh, you don't know what a fathead is? Yeah, you can say that. A fathead, they were like huge back in like 20 or 2006, I feel like. They were those giant like stickers that you could put on your wall that would be like of an athlete. Ash, you've got to Google it. If you truly, if this isn't ringing a bell. Oh my God, are you drinking a liquid death?
Yeah.
Girl,
We did
we
not
didn't
plan
even
this
plan
whatsoever.
this.
I swear
That's
to God,
so
we did
crazy.
not
That's
plan.
so funny. Okay, sorry. But anyways, yeah, they were like um
Oh, decals.
giant
Are
decals.
these
My
life-size decals? Why would you want this in your house?
No joke, my little brother had 3 of them. You know how frightening it is in the dark to walk into a room and
Are them
have LaDainian Tomlinson just, like, scare the crap out of you as you walk around the corner? Like, he had 3 grown men on his wall
all the
in
same team
support.
or just different?
Different teams, and they come with, like, other stickers too that, like, you can put around them that have, like, the team logo and, like,
Yeah,
whatever,
pretty cool.
But yeah, they had those, that was a thing for a very long time.
Oh, you had them in your dorm room, Rachel? Interesting.
Which one did you have, Rachel? That's cool.
In the, YouTube chat, they're saying the Winston Cup 1992 poster back there is awesome. Where did you get it?
Thank you. Okay. I'm scared to tell everyone. I'm
Did
not
you
a
do it?
gatekeeper, right? Like, I'm not a gatekeeper, but
That's exactly what a gatekeeper says.
I know, right? No, no, no. I love this place and I appreciate this place and I want this place to do, I mean, they do great, so they don't need my promotion. But my secret that I love to stop by is the North Carolina Auto Racing Hall of Fame. And there, first of all, the Hall of Fame's great. So if you're gonna go, walk through the Hall of Fame. It's like
You
seven
made it sound
bucks or
like this
something
very
like that.
niche place, and it's the North Carolina Auto Racing Hall of Fame.
It is, well, like, it's just inconspicuous. Like, it's a very, like, if you drove up to it, like, you wouldn't, like, it's just like a building. And the Hall of Fame is like one room. You know what I mean? It's one of those like one room walkthroughs. It's super cool. It's got like cars and a lot of different stuff. And it's just motorsports. It's not like NASCAR. So they've got a lot of different like stuff. However,
Ooh.
the gift shop there is all like donation based. So it's just like fans and people that donate their like clothes and like old jackets and things, and then all of the like proceeds go back to running the Hall of Fame. So I'm so sorry for that long explanation, but I had to give you a background there. The gift shop or like the like lobby of the North Carolina Auto Racing Hall of Fame. That is where I got that. And the reason that I got it is because Alan Kulwicki is my like one of my like all-time favorite drivers. So yeah, so I love
It's the only why Jessie likes me is because 'cause I'm Polish, just like Alan.
it.
So
Yeah, honestly, you're a Yankees fan, so like there had to be like stronger reasons for me to like overcome the fact that you're a Yankees fan.
wait, what are you a fan of? Are you a Red Sox fan?
Look, I'm not gonna act like I'm like a super, super strong Red Sox fan, but if I had to pick a baseball team, it would be the Sox. I've been to Fenway. I had the Big Poppy jersey, like, and like I just can't do I
It
can't.
would have to be
I
the Sox,
know.
it doesn't have to be them, actually.
I actually okay, I know I waited 2 weeks to rip off this Band-Aid.
Since you've already committed to having you on this show for the rest of the season, she's like, "Now I can tell you that I'm a Red Sox fan, otherwise you weren't gonna have me on."
Now you're stuck with me.
No, I'm sorry.
I'm so
Oh,
sorry, but
dang
here's the
it.
thing. Here's the great news. We don't talk baseball here.
But
We
you're from
talk
Tennessee,
racing.
right? You're originally from Tennessee? West
Yeah,
Virginia?
I know, and
West Carolina?
that's where you go, "Red Sox Nation, and, like, I get it, right? Like, I get it. But the reason that, like, I do like the Sox is because I remember my freshman year of college was when they won that World Series, that first
Hmm.
big one back, and I just kept up with it. Me and my friends, we all kept up with it, and then from there, I was just like, "Okay, this like if I have to pick a team, this will be my team," kind of thing. Because I just never like felt super drawn to. I mean, I guess the Braves, but like, anyways, you know. And Big Poppy, how do you not love Big Poppy?
We can go into this in another stream. Avoided of baseball players. Yeah, whatever. I'm not gonna talk about
Oh
it.
god.
You know what? I'm not gonna go into it. Okay. You're not a Pats fan, are you? Is what Chad is asking.
No, we're good.
Then
Oh.
what do you? Well, then what are you a fan of? There. How does this make any sense?
Okay, so in professional sports, okay, so I'll go ahead and just say it here. I'm a big, good gosh, I have something in my eye. Ooh, okay, I'm a very big college sports fan.
Okay,
Professional
right on.
sports, like I I recognize that like my fandom isn't as like heartfelt and strong and like passionate because it's more or less just like okay, like I picked this team for what like this or that reason. But like college
Understandable. Yeah.
sports, I have a very big like passion and like whatever. There's a whole different thing there. So that to say, um I guess okay, I grew up in Tennessee, so like
Okay.
the Titans are there.
Okay, that's fine. That makes
The
sense.
Tit
Regional.
the Titans exist. We'll just go that
Okay.
far with when it comes to the Titans.
Right on.
But to be honest with you, like I think probably if I had to pick a team, Miami Dolphins, and that's because they had a significant number of oh no, they had a significant number of Clemson graduates that went there that I loved, and it was fun to. Oh no, is this? Am I
No, this is just so funny. I just didn't expect you to say the Miami Dolphins. Just crap.
okay? Well, do you want me to be completely honest with you, Ash? Do you want me to be
Yes,
completely honest with you?
yes, please. Nothing I love more.
Okay, sorry. This is about to like change the mood though. I went to Clemson, okay? 20 we don't need to go there. I went to Clemson when Deshaun Watson was there and
Okay.
when Deshaun Watson led us to a national championship. So I have Texans stuff. Deshaun Watson Texans jerseys, things like that that now don't get out of my closet. They won't make the
Essentially,
next
Jess is a
move.
fair weather fan. If you went to Clemson, that's all she cares about, whether it's Dolphins or Texans,
That's
and then
fair.
maybe Red Sox. You're just holding up the whole East Coast with all the merch. I just I'm
Any
just a
more
New York sports
questions?
fan, if anyone has is anyone
Does
curious?
anybody have any more questions for me?
No, I think we're done with you, Jess, and your sports fandoms over here, jumping from from
Oh,
state to sea to shining sea in a second. If you're gonna tell me you root for the Rams. I just
no,
you're like, "No, not California," but yeah.
no.
Um, straight up just, New York City here. Yankees did lose, excuse me, to the Baltimore Orioles yesterday, but we do have a couple more games, and they also against the Pirates will be fine. Rangers won their preseason. Liberty, won and are going to the semifinals. So yeah, New York sports alive and well, thriving, and we'll just never win a championship for any of them, but that's fine. We'll get all the way to the, quarterfinals or semifinals, and then next thing we'll hear, she's a Sabres fan? No, 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 no. No more no, I don't need to know anything about Jess's affiliations anymore.
Is that hockey? I don't know like hardly anything about hockey. I know every other sport. Like I can talk every other sport with you, truly, like very well. Hockey is the only one that it's like I don't know. I don't know that one.
Who's
So
Jesse's
that
favorite
being
player in
said,
basketball?
I'm open for fandoms, okay? So if anybody wants to invite me into their fandom and persuade me to enjoy their fandom of hockey, like I'm clearly, you know, that one's blank. That line's blank. So
That line is blank. Currently in the YouTube chat, we're having Ghost is saying, Formula One is better. And then AC Milan says NASCAR and Larson are better. And then AC Milan said, I slept during the last F1 race. And to be fair, we might have also done that during the NASCAR race. So it's really hand in hand there, for everyone's races this weekend, except if you're like MotoGP and maybe 6 hours of Indy. But we will be talking about the NASCAR Cup race and the whole tire versus car versus resin situation, in
yeah,
the later on.
thank you for addressing
Yeah.
the elephant in the room.
Yeah. Thanks, Ghost. YouTube comments never disappoint. They've really just
This is my
the
first week on
correction
the
keeps
YouTube
on coming.
comments, so
It gets feisty in here.
maybe next week I'll
No,
start
no,
responding.
agree. People did ask. Someone asked in the beginning of Verstappen versus Larson, and I thought we already went through this for weeks. And the answer is neither of them. Shane Van Gisbergen. All right. It just yeah, it's just they race different series. You can't compare them, and we'll go from there. I know. I feel like we've been through this rhetoric 100 times. They just race different things. We won't know till they're in the same car, an MX-5 at Martinsville. I hope to see Kyle Larson and Max Verstappen there. I'm personally inviting them. I will pay for their MX-5s rides, and we will see who's the best. And we will then have we'll be done with that conversation. And that's it.
Retweet. I don't have anything to say to that. So
Ooh, perfect. So we were, if you couldn't tell, trying to grab time from you guys because we do have Erica Renee Davis. You might be familiar with her if you watch Around the Track. She does cover the betting segments with Kim Kuhn there, as well as doing segments on Fox Sports. She not only covers betting segments, but she's also a journalist and on-air host. And not only does she talk about NASCAR, she also does talk about the MLB, the NFL, and the NBA. So we do have her on to talk about all things like betting lines in the NASCAR space because I am unfamiliar with them. I know we watch our segment every single time, but I do wanted to note that make sure you look up in your state the rules and such. It is 21 plus. I know certain states have certain rules around it, so that is up to your discretion to look that up and check everything out. Also, in my personal opinion, just make sure if you are betting, it is with that you can afford it, and I want to make sure that is loud and clear. That is my personal thing. You know, so if it's $5 and you can afford $5 and you can still pay your rent and your bills, by all means, have fun. And Erica's going to teach us how to do that
well,
because
yeah,
I don't know what any of it means.
I was gonna say that's one of the cool things that Erica is gonna be able to teach us is that with a lot of these apps and a lot of these different like betting services, they will offer you money on the front end to just to join the app. So you kind of like don't have to spend your money at first. It's their way of like getting you, used to it. But all that to say, yeah, even if you just wanted to give it a try to start, you don't have to spend your money. So, you can be aware of like budgeting like that.
Absolutely. So Erica is going to talk to us a little bit about everything. Mostly my beginning questions of what do odds even mean, but kind of how she got into it. And she had a lot of good points that we brought up in our pre-call later about easy ways to kind of I would say bet against the house. Uh, as in betting books, and she'll explain to us, aren't really going too deep into the NASCAR space. You can actually use that against them. So I think that's actually interesting enough.
Yeah, with NASCAR betting being so like new, really, it's a good time to get in on it and kind of like understand not only like obviously if you understand the sport, but it's understanding like the mechanics in a way of betting. And you can start to kind of, you know, work the system in a way that works for you. And that's what I'm hoping Erica can teach us because I don't know how to do that.
Yeah. So don't look to me and Jesse for that because we do not know, and I am here to learn that part. Honestly, when someone says like plus 200 or plus 500, like I don't know what that means. So Erica's going to here to just teach us the basics and a little bit about herself and how to use her knowledge to your advantage, moving forward and such. So yeah, technology never worked the first time. Oh my god, I hear Erica. Hi, Erica.
is the middle of the week, and I'm feeling like it at this very moment, but I'm so happy to be here.
Girl, I feel that. I'm trying to figure out. It looks like on Twitch they can't hear us.
Oh, fuck. Let's see.
I was reading the chat.
Did I come on and mess it up for y'all? Let's see. Hold on.
No, you're good.
When people are like, "Why don't we do more live shows?" I'm like, "Well, it's almost impossible. We can hear now; it's just echoing."
Just echoing. Okay, so on my end, I can put my ear back in. Hey, Brandon87, thanks for the heads up. It's a bit better. Ray_1. Hey, Ray. So I'm gonna sit super still. So then maybe that will help not make the audio issues an issue.
Do it live chat. Erica, we did introduce you as not only obviously for the Around the Track betting segment and for Fox Sports, but you also cover, on-air hosts. You talk about NASCAR, but also the MLB, the NBA, the NFL. Can we go into a little bit of your background into how you got into all of this and now ended up here in this Twitch chat?
Right. So just a little bit of backstory context. Everybody's no, it's not wet. They're all dry. I'm from a really small town in South Georgia called Waycross, Georgia. It's the home of the Okefenokee Swamp. Don't know if you guys have ever heard of the Okefenokee Swamp before, but it is. We have 2 Walmarts, 1 high school. Okay.
I love that.
So 2 Walmarts, 1 high school. And in my hometown, literally football is life. Football is life, and racing is life. We don't have a track in my hometown, but we do have we have dirt tracks. We don't have a NASCAR track in my hometown. Let me say that, but we have dirt tracks. So that's what I grew up loving, football and racing. And then I went to the University of Georgia. You see all my Georgia stuff. Who knows Waycross? Who knows Waycross? Okay, Waycross. Yes, went to University of Georgia. You see all my Georgia swag. I actually have on a running backs shirt right now that says Chubb, Michelle. Anyway, Harriet. Anyway,
Also,
so yeah.
real quick, not to cut you off, but I do want to let the chat know that we have come to a truce as a Clemson grad that Erica has agreed to not bark at me.
Yeah, and I did tell Jessie that I was not going to bark because I had to be humble this week because we played Bama, and who knows what's going to happen. But moved from Waycross went to Athens, UGA. While I was at Georgia, I was a red coach. I was a majorette. I was with the basketball dance team. I cheered for the Falcons 1 year. So literally sports have been my entire life. Yes, Waycross is the middle of nowhere. Moved to LA to pursue a career in sports, which is where I've been here basically since after graduation. And my uncle James, God rest his soul, is who got me into sports betting. I used to talk about, oh, my dogs won this weekend. And Uncle James would be like, your dogs won. I don't care. Did they cover? And that was his way of saying, I don't care if they won the game straight up. Did they cover the spread? So from that, he started taking me to the racetracks in Southern California, like Santa Anita, Pomona, and he would teach me his betting ways. And also, side note, we didn't talk I learned more from that in-person interaction. And my first legit job as a betting analyst or working in the betting world was with Kevin Pollak back in 2011, 2012. I used to host and co-produce one of his sports shows, and we had a betting angle to it. And from then, I've been in the betting space. I write and I edit for Fox Sports on the betting team. And obviously, I work for NASCAR as the on-air betting analyst. And I love it. Yes, you go to Waycross, you drive to Jacksonville. Yes, so if you're from Waycross, you shop in Jacksonville, Florida. That's where we go to do our shopping. And that's where I fly into when I fly home to Waycross. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the country.
That's awesome. Okay, question for you. Do you remember then, because you started betting so young, but in a way, you started learning about betting very young. So, but do you remember the first time that you got a big return on a bet that you were like, oh, this feels good? Obviously to start, you got to get into it. But do you remember your first big big win?
Yeah, I would say the first big win was when I used to bet my customers when I used to bartend. Because like when you're like in the hospitality industry, especially like little like restaurants, everyone becomes a community, and you create these like friendships, like these family relationships, and just as you do with your family, when you get into an argument or debate, you want to be right. And so I remember having a customer whose name I will not say because he might see this one day. And I think we had bet. Was it a Lakers game? I want to say probably was a Clippers game because I'm a diehard Clipper fan too. We'll talk about that on another episode. And I think I just bet like the money line, and the money line in betting just means betting on the team to win outright. So you're not betting the spread, you're not betting a player prop, you're not betting the over under. You're literally just betting on the team to win. So I had bet like the money line on the Clippers, I believe, and it wasn't that I won a ton of money on that bet. I think I maybe like won like $100+ but for me, like that was a lot of money at that time. And B, more than the money, it was about I was right, you were wrong. I got to see you every day. You got to come to my bar, honey. And you were wrong.
I love that. And I will always be right in that moment. Like for the rest of time, you have to remember that.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, that was my first like big like payout, I would say. Big, not just again for the money, but like for the bragging rights. Yeah.
Have you seen betting change throughout your time doing it, starting for so young, and then now dealing with NASCAR every week?
Yeah, betting has changed tremendously because back in the day, y'all, folks in the chat, it used to be illegal. I mean, like it is still not legal in all states. We're just now getting to the point where we're 30+ states that actually offer legal betting. So just in the course of my career in the space, to see it go from literally having no option, no choice, but to use offshore books meaning, okay, so let me take a step back. So when I say books, that's short for sports books. And when you have an offshore book, that basically means a sports book that is not based in North America. So back in the day, bookie ain't no friend. Listen, bookies are not your friends. Neither are the sports books, but here we are.
Is this like how NASCAR was built on illegal moonshiners? You're saying NASCAR betting was built on illegal betting or whatever?
This show should not be allowed on air.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I'm just here so I won't get fined.
All right, everyone.
That wasn't bad. Was that bad?
No offshore betting. Please follow your state's laws. 21 plus. Please don't run moonshine across state lines. We are Jessie and I.
Oh, obviously.
For any. Well, you say obviously.
It was back in the day. It was a different time.
Right. That's very fair, Jessie. So I guess to answer succinctly, betting has changed so much, and the main way that it has changed is that it's now legal in most states. And it's not like the stigma that used to be attached to betting is not so much there anymore. Like, now, granted, depending on who you're talking to, where you are, where you work, if you're a professional athlete, God forbid you're betting on your sport like some idiots do, that's a different story. But the stigma of, you're a bad person or your moral compass is lacking, that seems to be a lot less severe than it used to be. And
it's becoming more accessible. That's basically what you're saying. Like the accessibility of it and everybody having like just an app on their phone or something, or multiple apps on their phone. You're right. It makes it less of a taboo thing to talk about, and it just makes it more normalized.
Yeah, it makes it more normalized. What else can I say I've learned about betting? About NASCAR betting specifically, it has grown even the year over year. I was talking to one of my buddies at BetMGM at the beginning of the week, and I was like, hey, can you give me some numbers about how NASCAR betting has grown? And he was explaining that year over year it's increased 13%, which might not seem like a lot, but considering when it comes to sports books, their main priorities are NFL, NBA, MLB. Now you got the rise of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and like that rivalry that's really helping boost up WNBA narratives and storylines and betting. And so NASCAR oftentimes falls, it's an afterthought sometimes when it comes to how bookmakers adjust the odds for NASCAR because there are so many other priorities. But even with that, still 13% increase over the past year.
Okay, but what's great about that, everything you just said about it's almost you can look at it as a negative, like, oh, NASCAR's a little bit of an afterthought right now as we stand in betting. But you
Hmm.
mentioned that that's actually a good thing if you're interested in learning more about how that works. How can like
Yes.
people kind of it's almost like getting in on the ground floor
Yes.
of understanding how it works.
I'm so glad you mentioned that because because odds makers oftentimes don't do the necessary research that we live in the NASCAR world, so we can tell you storylines not just from this week but from last month, this time last year, this exact race. You can tell me who won Kansas last year, who was, whatever, who's on the podium. Oftentimes odds makers don't do that extra legwork that they need to make sure that they handicap the lines in an accurate way. Therefore, if you have a betting addiction, help is available. You know what, Big Ben 0913, that's a really good point, because some people do have issues with betting. But I look at betting as any other kind of vice. You have to like regulate yourself and modulate like your behavior. But yes, Jessie, going back to you, because odds makers sometimes don't give NASCAR like the actual research that it deserves, you can sometimes get on a line meaning a spot or a set of odds that is completely just ridiculous. This week, for example, Alex Bowman, yeah, they could find something anyway. Alex Bowman this week opened at, I want to say, plus 4,000 at one sports book to be the outright winner for Kansas. Now, whether or not he's going to win, that's a different story. But if you wanted to back Bowman at plus 4,000, if you did not shop around, or if you had found him at another book at plus 2,200, plus 3,500, you would have been leaving money on the table, because essentially the longer the odds, the more money you make if that bet ends up winning. So because NASCAR odds makers don't adjust properly sometimes, you could have gotten in on Bowman at plus 4,000 when those lines first opened for this week. Now, I think the lines have pretty much been adjusted now, but sometimes it takes a day or two, and you don't see that kind of discrepancy with NFL. Like, you're not going to see Kansas City Chiefs as a 20-point underdog to the Raiders, and if you do, you're gonna buy that ticket all day and night, because yeah. So yeah, did that answer your question?
Yeah, that answered my question. And quickly, I know Ash has more questions for you,
Tell
but
me.
I was gonna say, as far as the chat goes, I would love to know how much betting knowledge y'all have, because my questions for Erica could be like super super basic, but I don't want to, you know, make this too basic if the chat kind of knows. But if you guys are wondering like, hey, break this down like betting 101, let us know and we can do that too. Just
Yeah, my
trying to
big
get
thing
some
is
like feels.
I know. Yeah, every time we watch your segment, I use your stuff for fantasy NASCAR, which is free for folks and stuff like that. If you are trying to learn Erica's information, see how you can apply that to other places without risk. I use your stuff for NASCAR fantasy, and that has worked out pretty good. Really great, actually. So that's been
That
awesome.
makes me very happy.
But like starting, I mean, we want to start from the beginning. When you say you have the plus 4,000, I don't know what that means. Plus
Okay, yeah.
200, plus 500, and then you have outright winners odds, top 5, top 10. So if we can kind of just go through that stuff, so when people watch around the track, they're like, got it. I know what this means.
Right. Okay, so can I answer a couple of things in the chat really quickly?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Someone asked about Bama, Georgia, because I am a diehard dog. I'm going to do some bonus bets on that actually later in the week. I'm not doing the money line. I'm not doing the spread, but I am going to take the over at 48.5. And then someone else was like, oh, the NASCAR is always hidden on the books. That's a good point. Sometimes you have to dig on sports books to find them, and every book is different. Sometimes it says auto, sometimes it says motorsports, sometimes it says NASCAR. So yeah, you have to find it, and that could be because they don't want you to find it because they know they hadn't done the research. But okay, plus 4,000. We're gonna use $100 as the example. And disclaimer: I don't encourage people to bet $100 on bets, because I don't know about y'all, but to me, $100 is a lot of money. Like, I like to say $5 here, $10 there. But just for sake of learning the math of it, we're going to use $100. So basically, if a number has a plus next to it, or it doesn't have a minus, because sometimes they'll write the odds without the plus. If a number has a plus next to it, you have to bet $100 on that spot, on that wager, to win that number. So Alex Bowman plus 4,000 means that if you bet $100 on him at plus 4,000 as the outright winner and he won Kansas, you would win $4,000. Now, on the flip side of that, when you see a minus number, like when it comes to NASCAR betting, when you see a minus number, that's how much money you have to that's how much money you have to bet to win that. I don't think I said that properly. Okay. So let's say we see minus 130. You have to bet $100 on minus 130 to win $100. If you saw minus 200, you have to bet $200 on minus 200 to win $100. So the shorter the number, the smaller the number, which means minus 110, minus 130 is smaller than minus 110. The smaller the number, the more money you have to pay to win money if the bet cashes.
Ash, this is when I need my Michael McDowell calculator.
Yeah, so your TI-83 gonna come in handy right now.
Yes.
Okay, so someone asked, quick quizzy, minus is better odds, right? Okay. Better is subjective relative. Minus odds are, don't bet, Chad, you will lose. Don't bet. You just gotta be smart about it. You can bet, you just gotta be smart about it. Minus numbers mean that they're more expensive. You pay more money to make those bets. But when you see something on the minus in NASCAR especially, the probability allegedly is more likely to happen. So if Jessie and Ash are racing this weekend at Kansas, and Jess is minus 200 to win, and Ash is plus 110, that means Jess is the likely winner. So, but sometimes it doesn't happen that way. Sometimes you put some money on something that's very juiced, meaning very short odds, and it doesn't happen, which means you lost some money you should have kept in your pocket.
So
how do you pick your top 3, top 5, top 10s? Because when you do around the track, you pick outright winners. You have groups, or oh gosh, I'm sorry, I'm messing up like the terminology. When I think you pick a set of drivers to like get all top 5s, I think, or like these 3 drivers will be in the top 5, so you can bet on that and things like that. So what are you looking at for that research?
So I look at trends. So my biggest thing on NASCAR betting, any betting, is that you study the trends. You study the trends of how this driver runs at this track. If not this particular track, how they run at mile-and-a-half track. So for example, this week is Kansas mile-and-a-half track. I studied how Larson and Byron, whoever I was on this week, I think I was on Larson, Hamlin, and Bowman, actually. I studied how each of them run at Kansas, how they placed at Kansas, if they've had accidents at Kansas, and then I compare the comp tracks. So that's one thing that I do. But I also, in that research, do look at, like, was there some like freaky like accident that happened that made their average at that track look worse than it really is? Because you gotta factor that in too. So the short answer, Ash and Jess, you look at the trends. You look at the trends, and then after you look at the trends, you look at the odds. Like, do I want to bet? I don't know. Do I want to bet Larson at plus 325, or would I rather plus 325 to win outright, or would I rather put that money somewhere else? So the trends and the numbers and how they move throughout the week. As odds
So I
increase,
like-
my amount decreases odds.
the way I think about it is like I'm, getting the bang for your buck kind of thing. It's almost like if you in one week didn't feel confident on an outright winner to put all your money there, you could like take that money that you like budgeted for that week or whatever and split that on, like you're saying, like a top 5 or top 10, just because that you have a little more likelihood of doing that.
You do, because an outright winner, what's the entry list every week? 37 drivers, like you're not going to pick an outright winner. Like I mean, you might. I mean, I picked Logano this year. I picked Larson this year. I actually picked Larson in the spring race to win, and thank God he did, because I was like yelling at my television. So it's so. This is how I use it. I'm reading the chat. I'm reading Ray_1. This is how I used to choose a driver for my pick in fantasy. Trends for drivers. Yes. What's your question, Jess? I got so distracted by the chat.
No, you're good. I got distracted by the chat too. I was just, and I kind of answered my own question in a way, but basically I was just saying, like, if you took that money and you put it towards like a top 5 or a top 10, you can distribute it more, but you're gonna make less money off of it.
Well, it depends on what the odds are. Yes. So outright winners odds in NASCAR are always plus 300 or better. I say always, of course, it's probably an exception, but very rarely will you see outright winners odds shorter than plus 300. And it's not like that in other sports. Like if you want to put money on, I don't know, underdog Chargers, I think they're probably like plus 150 right now. So you can make a lot of money if you choose the outright winner in NASCAR. But again, 37 drivers, good luck, knock yourself out. So top 3, top 5, top 10 give you different markets to have a better chance to win some money. And when you're looking at those odds markets, unless you're looking at somebody like, I don't know, who's not going to make a top 10 this week? I don't say Cindric, Hocevar, for example. No shade at Hocevar. But Hocevar might have longer odds to be a top 3 or top 5. Yeah, you make a ton of money if you bet on him. But is Hocevar really going to make a top 3 this week? No. I mean, again, no shade to the Hocevar stands out there. Are they using the same tires as the last Kansas race? Are they using the same tires as the last Kansas race, guys? I dropped my phone.
It's a great question. I actually don't know off the top of my head.
I
know. I had a question though about that. So it's funny that you mentioned tires because we'll get to this later, but like certain tracks, qualifying is very, very important, right?
Right.
Passing can be very difficult. So how much do you see those lines change from earlier in the week to up into qualifying, and like where's the sweet spot on like where to put that money?
So
or when to bet,
when it comes to qualifying, a lot of books will most books close their markets during qualifying because it's almost like, I mean, it's not fair. I mean, and then they'll open them again and then they'll close them again, obviously, before the race starts. My experience, Jess and Ash and folks in the chat, I have seen the lines change not so much based on qualifying. So let's say Monday, get the entry list. So let's say Tuesday through Friday. Obviously, qualifying hasn't happened yet for most races. So the lines typically shift or change based on how the sharp money is coming in, meaning how super savvy bettors are betting. And also they change the lines based on news coming out. Let's say that Bubba Wallace's wife is getting ready to go into labor and an odds maker has some inside information. It hasn't been announced that he's going to run or not run. Odds makers might say, oh, Bubba Wallace, if he runs this weekend, his mind might not be in the game. So therefore, we're going to change his odds based on how we think he might run. So news stories that come out during the week, inside information that comes out during the week, weather reports that come out during the week, all those things will change the odds from a Tuesday till qualifying. And then after qualifying, based on how drivers have qualified, then again, the odds makers might shift the odds based on who's running in the front, who looked awful.
No, I'm giving Ash room to breathe because I realized that I've asked like 3 questions in a row. So I'm gonna sit back and process. Ash.
Yeah, I mentioned this yesterday in the call, but for some people, my brother is really good. He was the math. He's the older child math. He has the spreadsheets due to the weather, and he does the baseball and NFL stuff. So yeah, all those things can be very, very important to the psychological thing of a player and like all these little variables, which is something you definitely have to look into if that's something that interests someone and you're putting your money on the line. But you can also bet off vibes if that is something you want to, or you can just make sure that everyone's paying their rent and their bills first and the important things, and then when you're able to, you do. Well, you want to make that really clear. But I know there's also even top 5s and top 10s, but you also mentioned, I think yesterday on our call, that people bet if there's going to be an overtime or not, or even like the margin of victory by seconds in time. Explain those.
I'm so sorry. I just have to say something. Ash is telling, and the chat will understand this, Erica, you're just a tad late. Ash is telling everybody that you can just like bet based on vibes. But when I want to pick a sports team just like based on the vibes, it's like I'm
just wait a second.
Trying to like censor myself while I was coming out, but yeah.
Don't drag
Erica. I'm the bad guy.
Your marital Twitch of yours, okay?
Wait a second. I think I caught the vibes conversation. We're talking about adopting the Titans as your team. Was that what the conversation was? Did I hear that?
Look, the long story short. The long story short is I have reasons. I'm a big college sports fan. The chat's like, oh my God, here she goes again. I'm a big college sports fan. but I like never had super big pulls like regionally to professional teams. So I have just like personal random reasons why I picked these professional teams, and apparently that's not okay.
I mean,
Erica's like, it's not.
it is okay. It is okay. It is okay. Hold on. I'm sorry. I got distracted. Yes, it is okay, because how you develop your fandom is your own business. That's your own personal journey.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate Erica. Thank you for coming in here to validate me. Thank you so much. Okay.
You're welcome.
So
That's
sorry.
what I'm here for.
I just really needed to justify myself.
I was reading. So yes. Haylam J. Yes, Lions. Yes, Lions definitely move as the books hedge. Yes. That is enough. Yes. So basically, as I was saying earlier, like when money's coming in, depending on if someone becomes a liability, for example, and now we're getting into like the weeds of it. I might want to say this for a later conversation, but there are countless reasons why the lines change, and Haylam J is mentioning some of those points in the chat. I was gonna say something else. Oh, budget. Someone wrote that in the chat, and I always say that at the end of my bonus bets. Responsible betting is key. Like, do not try to pay your mortgage off of sports betting unless this is what you do for a living. Yes, there are folks who literally do this for a living who are complete masters at it. You should be betting for fun. In betting for fun, you're not trying to bet to pay your bills. Like literally, like you should not be putting any more on any wager than you can afford to lose. If you are wagering and that's going to affect how you eat, how you sleep, what bill gets paid, what bill doesn't get paid, don't do it. Like sometimes the right bet is 10 cents.
Yeah. If you have to depend on the outcome of that bet in either way, whether it's losing the money out of your account or it's gaining the money, just don't. Play NASCAR Fantasy.
You can play NASCAR Fantasy. Now, granted, it feels really good when you win money, and it feels really awful when you lose money. But you cannot chase your losses, and chasing losses means you cannot try to like win some money back because you lost it last week. If you lost $100 last week on a bet that was out of your control in the first place, then that's just $100 you lost. Oh well, next week, don't be like, oh, I got to bet extra so I can make that money back. No, you can't chase your losses. You should not be chasing your losses. This is me being your betting mother, your betting chaperone, if you will.
So I appreciate that. It's important.
Always wins, right? Is there any way to kind of outsmart the book, beat the book? Can you
no.
Beat the book?
Well,
I mean, yeah, sure. Yeah.
There are ways to find an edge. But finding the edge means shopping around at different sports books, because we were talking earlier in the week. Some people don't know that you can download literally probably 15 sports books. I won't name the names here unless you guys want to sponsor us. But you can literally download 10, 15 sports books on your phone right now, and every sports book will have generally like the same kind of odds, but sometimes you'll find, again, Alex Bowman at 4,000 at one book, Alex Bowman at plus 2,200 another. If you can find an edge, sometimes you can make some money. If you know the trends of the drivers and of the tracks, that's another way that you can quote unquote beat the books. But when I think about beating the books, I think about like long term. Like if you're just betting, just this weekend just to have fun, let's say you place $10 down on, I don't know, 2 different bets, and you lose one at minus money, but you win the other one at, let's say, plus 100. Like you might break even, you might make a couple of dollars, but is that beating the book? I mean, I don't know. Like to me, beating the book is a long-term strategy, and long-term, it's hard to beat the book. Like it's hard. Like you want to try to get 52%, 55% ROI on the positive side. But when you're talking about those numbers, that means you are really tracking your bets over the course of your betting life. As Dad says, it's called gambling for a reason. There are no guarantees. When you outsmart the book, you have very angry people in suits knocking on your door. Right.
Very true. And we don't want that to happen.
Exactly. Yeah. Um, so yeah, I mean, be smart. Don't bet more than you can afford. Study the trends. Study the track. Study the trends. Watch the odds. Watch how they open. Like watch where the odds open, and watch how they move throughout the week. And shop around in different books. Like those are different quick tips I would give you guys.
Would you
Erica,
Yeah.
mind
do
talking
you
about
have
parlays
to
for a second? Would you mind explaining those real quick before we have to? I know
What's up,
Aria's very busy, but what are parlays? Talk about those. What is?
Oh Lord. So I
Oh
see
no.
folks talking about. Oh no, listen. I see folks talking about parlays in the chat, and I'm not anti parlay, but parlay is more of a fun way to bet. Um, parlays essentially are when you stack bets. So I'm gonna bet on Jessie to win outright. That's a straight bet. If I'm gonna bet Jessie to win outright, Ash to finish in the top 10, Erica to win stage two, and place one wager on all those three things to happen, that is a parlay. So building several different things to happen that had to all happen for you to win that money. That's a parlay.
Oh wow.
Which, right, which using parlays when odds are super short is sometimes a better strategy. Better meaning a gambler strategy to making more money off of short odds. But again, that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, this is more in depth. It's a little bit more math, whiteboards involved, us writing everything down.
Right. But yeah, so yeah, essentially a parlay is betting on several things to happen that had to all happen for that bet to hit.
So Erica, for this weekend, who do you have as your outright winners?
I put some money on Larson at plus 325, although I've seen that go up to plus 330, plus 350 at some books. When I first saw it, it was a plus 325. Larson outright. I have Denny outright at plus 500. Again, these are the odds that I use on around the track. And then I have Bowman at plus 4,000. So those are my outright winners picks for this week. Obviously, Bowman's a long shot, but I was like plus 4,000, and yeah, whatever. And then I think I put look at my book. I put Denny Hamlin top 3 at plus 140, and I want to say Bowman at plus 450 as a top 5 finisher. Larson for the win! Larson for the win!
Everyone wants Matt Larson for the win after talking about this conversation. Erica, thank you so much for your time and coming on in here and chat for dealing with the audio glitches here. But Erica, I appreciate you bestowing your knowledge on us because I might just have just try it this weekend. I don't. Just like a $5 that I have laying around for fun money, while we're watching the races at Kansas. I think it might be interesting to see what I've learned from this, and then come back to you with even more questions. Be like, I saw this number, so I did this, and this came out. Like, why did that happen? So, just let you know, your Instagram DMs might be full of questions for me.
I love that. I love that. And before you guys mute my mic and cut me off, someone says I want to know where we can get my football picks. So I've been doing football picks on my social at Erica Renee D. Right now, in just straight football picks, my win-loss record is 4-3. This week I'm gonna be on Georgia Bama over. I'm also gonna be on I'm gonna be on Rams Chargers, Rams to cover the spread. But okay, but football picks at Erica Renee D. NASCAR picks, bonus bets at Erica Renee D. Around the Track every Wednesday, new episodes drop on YouTube for my Around the Track picks for the week.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Erica, for your time. We appreciate it. Thank you. Put your Instagram in the chat so people can find you in your socials.
You want me to write it? Will it let me write? Chat rules. I'm trying to write it. Let's see. Erica Renee.
Oh no, it's in there already.
Oh, it's already okay. I don't see it. I'm a Twitch novice, clearly. Not very demure, not seeing my socials, but I'll do better next time.
You're all good, Erica. Thank you so much.
See y'all. Love y'all. See y'all later.
Bye, Erica.
Ash, did you get all that?
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed this. I was really quiet because I was just like writing a bunch of notes in here while she was talking, and I was like, okay, what do I have to do to either get my money back or come out where it's like whatever? But understandably, $5, and I am okay to. We can't see the link. Erica RENEED Instagram. Yeah, no guarantees, but I'm willing to try just to see what happens, learn a bit about it more. Because yeah, obviously, yeah, it is a industry I don't know about, but I there's no way you don't watch NFL and see like a bajillion DraftKings commercials. Like that is wild. So I
Well, and to
am
Erica's
curious.
point, betting may not be an industry that you don't know much about, but racing and NASCAR is something that you are incredibly informed in. So like, it's easy to say like, well, I don't know about betting. I'm going to stray away from that, but you might find that like this works really well for you and perfect for you because you are already so knowledgeable in that space.
Yeah, so we can see how it works out. So shout out to Erica. Thank you so much for hanging out with us and coming on here and doing the pre-race show stuff. Erica does a lot and also works with Fox and such. So we appreciate her time is very
Yeah, she
valuable to
stays
that.
busy.
She stays busy. Yeah, she's hustling, and I like her bonus bets. I appreciate her Instagram stories. We do have to talk about Bristol.
I'm so ready. I'm like, can we talk Bristol now?
We'll do the positive news first, though. Thanks to Cindy Yen on Twitter, we're talking about a little bit of viewership numbers. So Bristol Night Race had an average of 1.868 million viewers. That's up 19.6% compared to last year, and it's also up compared to 2022. Though I don't have the exact number from Cindy. NASCAR had a total of 5.7 million viewers for the first three races of the playoffs. That's up from 5.6 for last year. So keep in mind the scheduling changes, of course, to take into that. Thank you, Marco, so much for putting that in. The CW got 906,000 viewers for the first ever NASCAR race broadcast for the Xfinity Series, which is the channel's highest rating for any program in the past 8 months. That's compared to last year's Xfinity Bristol race of 993,000. But, new channel, people might have had issues finding it. Not to giggle, I just remember Bob's Twitter thing that we talked about last week and such. So, views up, which is good. But yeah, the race itself. People, let's talk about. We'll start with Cup. I think people want to just go straight into that. Larson led 462 laps out of 500. I don't think that was the inherent issue. It's the longest green flag run on that stage since 2012 Bristol.
I just think the tire fall off was the friends that we made along the way. It clearly was not present. Do you want to start? Do you want me to start?
You seem like you really want to start, Jess. So please, by all means,
No,
please
it's
tell.
not that. It's not even that. I think it's just that like you're seeing so much. We're seeing so much discussion around this, and I'm anxious to get in on it. Because everybody has an opinion, and okay. So here's the thing. Like obviously everybody went into this race expecting like a lot of tire fall off because Bristol says we're bringing the same tire back that we brought in the spring, and we all saw how that went.
Mm-hmm.
So our expectations were there, but what's interesting though is in talking to some of the drivers, or not talking to, in hearing from some of the drivers, they seem to not have expected quite as much tire fall off. Like they seemed to be a little more prepared for not what they got, but like not what we had in the spring. But there's a line, right? And it's just like it's so confusing because it's like why is this happening? Like how can you I understand there's going to be discrepancies, but the mark feels so missed on here, and even a little bit in the past like couple of races. So is it the tires? Is it the car? Like and personally, I think it's right there in the middle. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's we all know, we've all seen statistics show this car doesn't run great on short tracks. This next gen car has there is improvement for how this next gen car could run on short tracks. But it seems like right now we're putting a lot of pressure or a lot of expectation on Goodyear to make up for that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a very difficult thing to do. So I if if there was all the money in the world, right? Like they'd be able to meet in the middle and say Goodyear's going to produce the best tire and NASCAR's going to, do what they need to do to make adjustments. But there's not all the money in the world. So that's where we're falling in the middle here somewhere and trying to figure out why this is happening and then how you move forward to make sure it doesn't continue to happen.
Kyle Larson has a rather lengthy tweet that we may or may not have seen. I'll try to read it quickly, but he goes, all this talk of tire wear about Bristol got me wondering, have we ever had a lot of wear at Bristol besides the spring of 24? Not much of any. Have we seen great races there? Absolutely. Have we seen duds where Kyle Busch leads the 300 plus laps? Sure. From what I remember in my career before the next gen car, we had cars with some disparity that could run closer to one another in traffic, wheel tire combos that got hotter, which in essence gave us less grip on the long run. I ran with 900 horsepower all the way down to 650 horsepower, or less potentially high downforce, low downforce, and everything in between. Bristol's always been tough to pass. Speed on pit road, and most likely there's a good chance you're going a lap down on the next run. And that's the way it is, and it's been that way for a long time. We've had more natural cautions from wrecks because cars could run closer. We've never quite made it its full fuel run because eventually someone's right front tire would explode from overheating. I'm not saying I want tires to explode again, but we're trying to crutch this race car on short tracks with a tire, then blame Goodyear every week because cars can't pass. I don't have the answer to fix what we currently have, and neither do you, but please stop blaming Goodyear. It's not a tire problem. Also, how many of you have ran around Bristol with or without PJ1 or resin for that matter? Yeah, that's right. So zip it emoji. Temper your expectations. We're driving spec race cars.
Yeah, to your point, Ash. So it really is. It's like a stop blaming Goodyear kind of thing. It's like all in a weird way, like so much pressure is being put on Goodyear to solve all these problems that the reality is like there are areas that everybody needs to be adjusting to help make sure that this, can improve, but that's not the case right now. So everyone's looking at Goodyear like, come on, are you going to fix this? And Goodyear's like, we're doing the best we can. So I really don't think it's like their issue right now. That's not what's happening. They're just expected to fix it. And they're like, what do you want from us? So it's just tough.
Senior VP of competition, Elton Sawyer, has. We've seen a lot of Elton, I feel like. Have we seen him as much as we have in recent years?
No.
Which is a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, right? Like they're not showing him because of a negative response. I think I do see some attempt at transparency to fans, but whether we are still getting PR answers or not, or the actual answers, is another thing. But Elton has been yapping a lot in front of the camera, which is like, I appreciate the attempt of trying to. And I'll explain why I mean more about transparency, because he mentions in this quote, the goal was to at least put the cars in the bottom of the racetrack and give us 2 lanes to race. We did that throughout the event. They'd run at the bottom, middle, top. So we did have multiple groups. What we didn't have was tire wear. We'll dive into that with our meetings today with our folks at Goodyear to see what maybe they have been able to come up with over the last couple of days in their meetings. Obviously, we're disappointed as a company for our fans, but those things we'll learn from, figure out what happened, and get corrected as we go forward. So the thing is here, he says meetings today at Goodyear. Are we going to hear about those meetings at Goodyear? Like, it's like, no, because some things have to be kept behind closed doors and fans can't hear anything. But are we going to hear what are the results of these meetings? Is my next question. Or like, what are they potentially talking about? So compounds. It's like it's a tile puzzle problem. Do you know you have those tiles that are all jumbled up and you have to make the image or line up the numbers and such? We have to move one piece and then we have to shift everything else over. So if we're talking about having softer compounds created, well then Goodyear has to do more of either R&D and research in the tires and things like that. If we're talking about fixing the car, then obviously teams have to spend a lot of money, which is a detriment to smaller teams with a budget. I think Denny Hamlin mentioned this podcast. He does not want to spend any more money on this next gen car, let alone any more money on the car where they already have spent. It's just, I like the multiple tires, but then like that also creates more shifts and things. It just seems like we're in this cluster mess of a tile and we don't know which tiles to shift right now to make sure we are good. Everyone's going to say the car on Reddit. I understand that. But that takes a lot of rebuilding and a lot of money. And it's just not the easy. It's just going to take time if we're going to go that route. And I don't think anyone wants to do that. I mean, you do want to do that. Sorry. It's just going to take so much money. I just don't see how that's the easiest answer or the only thing that we can come up with on the internet with our minds collectively all over our brain cells. And it's like, change the car. It's like, okay, great. How much time you got? You got to go to the R&D center? Is Goodyear going to be in the R&D center?
Are you donating to that car change or? Like,
so
that's like so much money.
Yeah. So Denny said it was not the same tire in his podcast. The extra set we ran in the spring was actually last fall's tire. So it's kind of a head scratcher for that. In Martinsville, apparently there was a date code that was 0.3 faster than all other date codes. It came in low on the softness scale, but it was still within the range that they thought was good enough. But the window of variance was so big. So not
I
all tire bad.
thought what Dunny said was that the spare tires that they gave, the extra set of tires that they gave everybody in the spring race when they had to audible there and make up for the fall off that was happening, that those were left over from the fall race.
Yes.
But I thought that he was saying that but they still brought the same tires from the spring race to this fall race.
No, they're not the same.
Okay. Got it. I was getting myself mixed around.
Yeah, a good car versus a bad car there at Bristol is a tenth and a half of race pace. Lap times are fundamentally the same overall. It's just, and then someone was saying that they weren't running the short track package here at Bristol. They're running the intermediate track package, and I was just like, oh my god, this is. There's no way that they're having these conversations at Goodyear. There's no way they. How do I say this? How do I say this appropriately?
Story of my
What's the
life.
worst that can happen? We don't come back next week, and I will continue working in corporate America to get my health insurance. They're all friends up there at the top. Everyone knows each other. The CEO of Goodyear knows everyone at NASCAR, and vice versa. There's no way they haven't had these conversations before. When we talk about racing and short tracks and tire stuff and blah 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 blah, there's just I'm just finding it hard. I'm just finding it difficult to believe, and I don't have enough tinfoil to put on my hat right now. We just didn't see this coming. There's no way. They just thought it'd be magically okay, or someone lied to someone. They said we were bringing the same tire. I just don't. There's something up there that doesn't make sense to me, and it's and that's it. So, do y'all think there should be more transparent with the fans? Oh no, you're good.
I'll be right back.
Sure. Do y'all think there should be more transparency with the fans and what they're using different tires? An hour of Ash raging about tires. We have all these drivers. We have Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin know vastly more than I do. I am fully understanding that and taking their facts, knowledge into consideration. And you're telling me at the top of the thing, it will we wouldn't be surprised if a loss of grip, tire fall off creates better racing. The addition of power, more tire use creates better racing. The only problem is that the top drivers and teams would run away with the pack, which is also a big problem according to Twitter polls. Not an engineer, just heard less tire patch might help. Well, supposedly for Martinsville, they're going to bring the softest compound ever created, which should create more grippy tires, but more fall off. We're going 125 laps. What in Bristol without anything? The drop off was not big. The times were relatively the same. I don't know if we're having these difficult conversations. It's just they have relationships to maintain. So sorry, I'm back. I'm done.
You're good. It's a tough conversation because there is no answer that. Do you know what I mean? It's just you don't.
I think there is, but who's the one in charge? We still NASCAR has this thing where we're colloquial enough in the motorsport space where we can make deals at the racetrack, but at some point these kind of big changes go through a corporate ladder thing. We got to run it up the flagpole and see if the wind picks it up and put other things in the parking lot. There's still half and half of it can't just be like a dirt race in my local town. Hey everyone, we're just changing tires last minute, not a big deal, right? And just slap that on there, right? This has to go through approvals and changes and tests and safety things. So it takes time, and I don't know if we're going to do the changes that are necessary to do. Someone mentioned that Dale Jr. suggested narrow tires. I don't know if we're changing compounds and how long that's been in the making. Maybe we secretly knew this entire time, and then Goodyear's just taking the fall that these tires were not the same, and we're just gonna deal with that PR crisis as leaving the parking lot and come on over. I just don't. NASCAR needs to change their tire rule, but then you need. Denny Hamlin talked about a long time ago spending money on tires and how much money they have left over. So if we're going to start forcing an F1 kind of strategy thing, we're talking about multiple tires, we almost did, we did in Richmond in the All-Star race. That's even more money to consider and different R&D that needs to happen. There's just all these tiles are shifting and have to be shifted, but I don't know who wants to do what, saving the most money, and who's going to be happy. No one's going to be happy. It just created this problem. It's really frustrating.
And ultimately, Yeah, so what I was trying to say earlier that I didn't say correctly, because you're absolutely right, is that like there's so much happening up here that for us to sit here and like stew about it, we're just going to continue to go in circles because we can't, like, there's so much going on that we don't, that there has to be sorry, so much has to go on that we don't know about to fix this, that like we're just gonna get
It
ourselves
isn't
all
for
worked
our
up
pay grade,
and all the
unfortunately.
what ifs, and that's what's tough, because but that does lead me to the next point of like somebody asked a question earlier, and it's like the transparency of NASCAR and Goodyear with the fans. How much of that should we see? Um, and I don't know how much we will see as far as how much insight they'll give us to those discussions, but
Yeah, and not to be a NASCAR shill on the NASCAR Twitch and YouTube channel and getting a paycheck from them, which I will be very admitted about. But like, also that's just not two wrongs don't make a right. As I say this out loud, what I was going to say is no motorsport is transparent. That's just the thing of motorsports. We talk about this all the time. We talk about stick and ball sports comparatively to motorsports fans. We don't know a lot about NASCAR. We don't know, excuse me, driver contracts, teams things. We don't know about any of the charter agreements, like IndyCar charter thing coming out. We don't know anything about what's going on there. We only know what certain people tell us or leak and things like that. If they're having a conversation with Goodyear, I don't know if we're ever going to know what they've actually talked about. If there's like a group email chain that's going to be linked and be like, "LOL, we tricked all the fans," or "LOL, like maybe we like we don't know what the actual cause is." I it's we might never know that. They can only be transparent to a point, and whether I don't know, that's proprietary information and other things that are above my pay grade that I don't know. So more horsepower, I narrow tires, what Dale Jr. said, whatever Dale Jr. says I agree with, not because I'm wearing his hat. um and people said the switching tires to the all-star race wasn't that interesting, but yeah, Richmond is a good example of it working really well. Not every race is going to be a banger. I feel like this is a variable of a lot of issues coming all up front at hand, which is the car, the tires, themselves.
correct.
NASCAR fans
And
never
that's
have cars and tires.
bringing it full circle. That's exactly where we started this, of like, you cannot look at Goodyear and expect them to fix all of these problems with this tire. We have to recognize that, like, yes, is there room for improvement on tire compounds? Absolutely. But I don't think that there is a tire out there that Goodyear could necessarily create that's going to fix everybody's issues with what's going on. There's got to be some kind of adjustment to the car to get to what all the fans want to see. That's what they're expecting out of this car. That's what I think.
No, says honestly, I think we just have bad races. It happens. All of our definitions of a good or bad race are different. The reason I think that Bristol was not the most exciting race I've ever watched in my entire life was not because Kyle Larson led 462 out of 500 laps. That was fine. It was because we were staring at Daniel Suarez and Ty Gibbs for most of the end there, whether or not Gibbs would wreck Suarez for a desperation to move. Like that was like the most exciting, or like Martin Truex getting that speeding in the pit road penalty, and then could not pass. That was then kind of sad. Those are the only exciting things. There wasn't much action happening on top of that. So at this point, then I'm like, oh, it's about strategy, right? And like F1, not every race is a banger either. Um, this happens at all the short tracks. I don't know. I absolutely don't know the answer, and we can talk, like you said, in circles till the cows come home. But
Yeah.
and the problem is, like, will we ever know if there's a solution? Like, once the short track racing is good, like, will we be like, oh, they fixed, like, they changed the car?
No.
I don't know,
Oh, they
and that
changed
goes
the
back to the transparency. We'll have to understand. I don't know. We all just have to wait and see.
because we all thought it was the same
Stay
tire
tuned.
going into the weekend. We all thought it was the same tire going into the weekend, and we learned it wasn't the same tire. Could the playoff format be to blame? What do you mean, that people aren't taking risk in that kind of sense, Rez? Ty Gibbs is like the modern day Joey Logano. What does that even mean? Joey Logano's still the modern day. Joey Logano's still racing.
Yeah. The modern day Joey Logano is just Joey Logano.
Honestly, my boomer take is having more speed into the car because I miss the high revs for it.
I mean, at least you
That's the
you
thing
know
I
it's
hear
a
around.
boomer take.
No, it's the thing I've been hearing a lot on whether it's the Reddits or Twitter or Threads or whatever. People have been saying more horsepower for months and months and months and months and months.
Yeah.
But I are they saying Joey Logano's old? I feel old. Um,
He's been
yeah,
drinking
it's
Coke a long time.
sorry.
He's been drinking Coke a long time.
He's been drinking Coca-Cola a long time. Yeah, that's true. It's the
Hmm.
only reason to recognize him.
Well, and you brought it up, and I just don't think like we have to get too far into it because there's definitely some other stuff that we can chat about here coming out of the weekend with our final time on this stream. But yeah, I mean, with your point about the playoff system and pushing the limits there, that's something else that Denny mentioned on his podcast, and I think that's just going to be something that's always going to vary driver to driver, right? Like the point that Denny made was that there's guys that are looking at this playoff system as a whole and these rounds as a whole, and they're maybe not pushing themselves to win the race because they're playing it safe to have this understanding of I'm doing a terrible job of explaining it, but you understand what I'm trying to say here. And I just
Fine,
think that
yeah.
like whether it's this playoff system or it's the point system or whatever it is, that's just going to vary currently driver to driver, with this system as far as like their mentality and how they want to go out there and race. Because Denny said it himself. He's like, I'm always going to go out there and try to win a race. I'm never going to just hang back knowing that like I'm safe here on points or whatever it is. And I was like, okay, I get that. So I don't know. I just also I'm like fiercely defensive of this playoff system. I recognize that there is a lot of room for improvement always in anything, but I just I'm defensive of it.
Yeah, I just don't think correlation is causation. Like, I do think the playoff system does have they're inherently not taking as many risk to just move on to the final four, because at that point your points don't matter and you're just racing for the win and you're just trying to get to that final four spot, whether it's based off most likely a win. I'm sorry, most likely having the most points to get there, etc. Um, I just something doesn't make sense to me of this whole thing, right? Somehow we've all heard the same rumor, or I don't know if this came from a journalist who heard it from somewhere. Like, I don't know if everyone was told that we're using the same tire, right? Everyone agrees. And then Eldon Sawyer saying that NASCAR's having conversations with Goodyear. So are you blatantly telling me that Goodyear lied to you? Is that what we're saying? Like, you're going to say that? And then are you telling me that and then no, like, why would you say that about? And like, are they taking the like something? This is I sound crazy. I sound like Charlie Day in that GIF with the threads and everything. Just something doesn't make sense. And I feel like people at the time knew about it the whole entire time. And that's where I'm ending this tires and car conversation. Like, we can talk about this, yes, to the cows come home. More HP, narrow tires, different car. Forget about the money. Just these things at the top of corporate America are not making sense that you would do, unless everyone was in agreement that this happened and we all talked about Monday. Be like, okay, you're the fall guy. We're gonna say that we're talking and we're gonna move on with our lives. Like, this just doesn't make any sense. IMO. And then if the FBI come knocking on my door, just don't say I didn't warn everyone, okay?
Okay.
I miss being able to get someone's bumper and get them loose, or small bump being efficient to get someone out of shape and make a pass. Nowadays, they have to hit them a ton, and so might not be able enough to move them. I mean, we've seen some really near miss saves. Um, a lot. Parker during Xfinity race was really good, but yeah, we do have to do a lot of Doran, um, to win there.
Well, but that's a testament to the composite body, right? And like, it's what's weird though, because for so long, so many people loved that in the Xfinity series. They were like, "Oh, this composite body's great because you can see that door-to-door action without having so much damage to the car." So I don't know. First, if that's what he's referencing, personally, I like it. Um, sure, it takes a little more, aggression to do what you need to do, but that's the point. Okay, there's more to talk about from Bristol though than just tires, right? Like there was so much that happened. It was the cutoff for the playoffs. I also was thinking about it, Ash, and I couldn't remember who my championship four were that I picked, and I knew you wrote them down.
Oh,
So
I did.
remind me.
Larson, Willie B, Bell, and Blaney. So you're all Gucci still. Everyone's
Okay.
still good.
Okay.
Blaney, Elliott, Hamlin, Larson, NASCAR picked Larson, Bell, Reddick, and Blaney.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I still feel good about that.
Everyone still feels good about that. We do have to shout out Zane Smith for being the highest finishing Spire car in the in 16th. Both of his teammates started out top 10, and he started 33rd, but he managed to beat both of his teammates. So I mean, that was a positive outlook from the race.
For him.
Good for him.
No, that is good for him. Sorry, I realized that sounded like, but yay, Zane!
Oh no, Zane's
That'll
never
make
done
up
it.
for it. Okay, that makes up for it.
I think that made it worse. It sounded sarcastic. It's like from Call of Duty, and I say "good shot" to someone, and I have to put in parentheses "not sarcastic" because tone is so hard to convey, and everyone's just kind of rude in there in general. And if I'm complimenting a shot, I'm not being mean about it. That's what it sounds like.
That's funny.
Yeah, likely one.
That's funny.
It's interesting. There were some interesting opinions that I was reading online that people said that it was like at the end, everyone was like, well, there's no point in causing a caution, so let's just like finish this up and race fine and like not try to pass or do anything crazy. So the opinions of were that after some contentious race finishes, it was nice just to finish under a green and no overtimes.
Okay, that's fair. That's absolutely fair.
Interesting take.
If it wasn't Bristol. If it wasn't Bristol, because that's the point of Bristol, right? Like, you're right, it sucks because we had 7 overtimes at Kansas in the spring, and you're like, can we get this moving and grooving? But that's what people want to see at Bristol, no? So that's what's tough.
Someone said Xfinity was great. Xfinity was, I think, fine, interesting enough. Well, it's for me, it was interesting because of Dale, not a shill because of the hat. Just a big fan. So eliminated from your Cup playoffs though were Gibbs, Truex, Kozlowski, and Byrne. I think Suarez did a good job pulling off Gibbs there. And then now we move on to the next round.
I want to say quickly too, it hurt that watching how that race played out for Martin Truex. It was painful.
Yeah.
Honestly painful.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, mistakes happen, right? Mistakes are always going to happen, but every driver, when you talk to them at like playoff media day or whatever, and they talk about the difference in the regular season and the playoffs, they're like, in racing there's already so little room for error, but in the playoffs there's almost zero room for error. And we saw that in the first race of round 1 when so much, shaking up was done on the points just based on how some of those top players ran that first race. But all that to say, he had some bad luck the first 2 races of these playoffs. So that put him back, right? And then for it to be a pit road speeding penalty that takes him out, it's just tough because you pair that with some bad luck, right? And that's ultimately, it's all of that combined, plus everything he did in the regular season, all that combined eliminated him. Sure, you can make that argument. But on paper, it was a pit road speeding penalty, and that's really tough. So what I want to see, I would love to see Martin Truex go out and like win at Martinsville here in next month, like one last win before he retires. And it's not like the finale race, so it's not messing with like anything in excitement, just like the penultimate race. That'd be really cool. That's what I hope to see. And maybe he'll be able to do that. Full circle here. Also, I talk with my hands. Have you noticed? Maybe he'll be able to do that because he doesn't have the pressure of playoffs and making the championship 4. He's going out there with, like we were saying, that mentality of solely to win that race.
Yeah. Chad agrees that would be dope. Felt super bad for Martin Truex. Still a class act, and hopefully see him back again in some fashion. Yeah, there was the frustration he had at Watkins Glen, but there's no doubt that he loves the sport, or he loves racing, or loved racing, whatever it is. That post race interview was hard to watch, and yeah,
that's also just Martin. He's just kind of got that like rough around the edges, like
yeah, but I
tell
think
you how it is.
Yeah, but I just think I think you can tell that it was just like, yeah, he's like hiding it or just trying to mask it in some way, whatever it is. But he cares.
Oh, he for sure cares, 100%. I'm just saying like that reaction is what we would expect from him. He's not going to be a soft guy in public, so that doesn't mean it. Yeah, you're right.
He's just a secret softie, like me. Just kidding. Everyone
Martin to MX5 next year.
No.
Ash, will you pay for his ride?
Yeah, sure. If I see some legends in MX5 Cup cars, that'd be awesome. I almost said Cup cars. MX5 cars, that'd be sick. Or GR86s, whichever. I'll take whichever spec series they want to race in. Be fun. Oh, he has a yeah. Maybe we could do. Yeah, we'll talk. I'll call Martin's people. And then
Jess, why do you talk with your hands? Because I don't know what to do with them when I'm not talking. I don't know what to do with them otherwise. So, I'm also a very animated person. I, I'm the kind of I recognize I'm very animated, and so like anytime someone takes like a candid photo of me or something, like guaranteed every time I'm like, like I never am just like casually smiling. I don't do anything casually. I feel like so. Apologies.
For the Xfinity race, Dale was back. Finished P7. Faced a lot of issues though, as we as we saw that all unfold in the beginning stage of the race. What he was having? Radio issues. Did a helmet swap. Then something about his glasses. He was really going through it. Junior said on the radio, radio's now in the water bottle holder, and the water bottle is somewhere else, not sure where. And then he also tell Riley Herbst to disregard the bird. It was unnecessary because he accidentally gave the bird to Riley, thinking he was doing it on purpose. And then he was like, "Oh, it wasn't my bad. It was." And all of that, and still finished piece. And then he couldn't hear his spotter, and then and TJ was yelling.
Dude,
It
I
was, it
would
was
pay
just a
money
whole-
for Dale Jr. to give me the bird. That's iconic. Like
Put that
truly.
up.
I'd be like, no apology necessary. By all means, thank you. But you're right. He did have a lot of problems. And I would be curious to know, Ash, your thoughts on what he said earlier in the weekend as far as, the consistency of continuing to run this race. And put himself, in that car. And I think a lot of people at this point almost just like expect to see him run. And he's like reminded people that he doesn't just do it for fun. He does it with a purpose as well, given his ownership and wanting to, it's knowledge, it's testing. So what are your thoughts on the possibility of maybe not seeing such consistent runs from him in the future?
I think he mentioned on his podcast that he was going to focus on that broadcasting in 2025 because there's that whole everyone was complaining about Daniel Ricciardo being his last race. Okay, I was more worried that this was Dale Jr.'s last race. Okay, I was worried, but I was like, there's no way that we wouldn't go out with like a bang, right? There was no way we would make T-shirts and be like Dale Jr.'s last, like I was there. And he's very respectful when he races on the track. He says he doesn't want to ruin anyone's races, playoff contentions, etc., like that. But he loves to race. So he mentioned next year he was definitely going to focus on broadcasting. And what is going to end up happening is that he'll probably miss racing and he'll jump back in and do something else. I mean, it sucks, but I mean, time takes us all. We are all prisoners of time. Not to be dramatic, but it sucks. But hopefully there is a moment where he will say, hey, this is my last race. Let's make it a big deal. Let's go out with a bang. And let's get a win, top 3, top 5, because I see that in quite Dale Jr. fashion.
I always just have to wonder, though, if Dale's never going to be that person that, like, draws that line. You know what I'm saying? Like, he might just always, like, he's never going to close that box. He's just going to, you know what I mean? He's never going to be like, all right, everyone, this is it. I think he's just going to leave that open to any, you know what I mean? I don't know. I think he's too much of a racer to...
I mean, he can do whatever he wants, but there's no way I know he doesn't owe us anything as fans. He is his own person and he can do whatever he wants, but there's no way he can just be like, yeah, that was my last, like in 5 years, and be like, yeah, Bristol 2024 was my last race. And it's just like, dude, you never told us. I would have bought tickets. We all would have showed up. We all would have cried at your driver intro, you know?
That's because maybe he mentally hasn't made that decision that that's his last race. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. I can't imagine if we missed that opportunity and it goes by and we didn't celebrate it. Yeah. Painful.
He's still going to be an ambassador of the sport. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he is a great ambassador of the sport / motorsports and all such. He's still going to run Cars Tour, loves them late model stocks. Yeah, that's a good point. Whether it's Xfinity, whatever race it is, I would like to know, Dale, if you could personally send me an Instagram, Twitter. I don't know what it is. If you just send me an email. If you just say, FYI, Ash, you might not see me on a track after I run this go-kart race at COTA on their go-kart track. Just let me know when's the last time in your car racing, because I would like to know.
See, and exactly what he said about Cars Tour and the late model stocks, that's exactly what I mean. Like, I just think he's never going to, like, draw that line and be like, oh, I'm done racing. I think he's just going to hop in whenever he can hop in, when he can, and whatever works out. Because, like, if he's still running Cars Tour and he's not going to, like, come to, like, Xfinity and be like, this is it. He's just going to, like, let it be.
Just a fax, a telegram. I will take whatever message.
Just a heads up.
if I see a flare randomly go off in Mooresville, I will know that
Basically a trigger warning. He's saying like, Ash, I'm preparing you emotionally for what's about to happen, so you know ahead of time.
Morse code. That'd be difficult, but yes, Dale Jr. now becomes the only NASCAR driver to race in all 5 broadcast networks: ABC, CBS, Fox,
Oh, wow.
NBC, and now the CW.
That's
Fun
cool.
fact. But yeah, definitely want all the foam fingers, t-shirts, and things like that. Oh yeah, I did have a bullet point about his emo playlist from Spotify. Um,
Yeah.
I just
What
wanted to
was
note.
that about? I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know about this?
No.
Okay. This is where my Warped Tour knowledge has now come to shine. Dale Jr. I believe when Dale's wife was on the pod, she mentioned the playlist and she told him to publish it or like mentioned that he listens to this. So he published his playlist. It's 492 songs, 33 hours, 11 minutes playlist of all of your Warped Tour, um, like Ernie Ball, Kevin Say's stage bands. And what I mean by that is Warped Tour had 2 stages or multiple stages. They had 2 main stages, the Ernie and the Kevin stages for up and coming bands. He has some like niche emo, pop punk, mostly punk, leaning towards pop punk. I mean, no All Time Low was there, and that's really more pop, but that's besides the point. We can argue about this
Yeah.
later. He's got like Angels and Airwaves, Boxcar Racer, The Dangerous Summer, which was my MySpace song. Like if MySpace still exists, The Permanent Rain is still on my MySpace page playing if you log into it. And I was like, everyone I talked to like heard about the band, doesn't know the song. It was wild that he has like all of the Dangerous Summer albums on that playlist. It's just if you went to Warped Tour and listened to that kind of music, it's all of that. Third Eye Blind, obviously OAR, it has some bigger names on there, but is wild. And I was like, wow, Dale, he's just a regular dude. Sometimes
That's
he just has
very surprising to me that that would be his taste in music, but I love that. And to be honest, like I love that kind of pop punk music from back in that Warped Tour like era, but I don't know that lower tier. Like I know Angels and Airwaves and what have you, but like
yeah.
I'd be curious to go check it
Got some
out.
Canadian bands on there. It was wild. I was like, man, you gotta put this Spotify playlist just like us. It was great. I've just
But
been
not
rocked into it for the past like 48 hours.
yeah, not what I would have expected though from his Spotify playlist.
Why is that, Jess? Is it because he's older and you're expecting old music?
No, I just think I expected more like music that you drink beer to.
You drink beer to pop punk? I got your picture. I'm coming with you, dear Marie. And then like just down like a bush light. I think that's fine. I'm all time
We
low
have
would
different
be but
we drink beer differently.
yeah, me crying in my room versus you on a boat. Yeah, I just like don't see what the difference is. I think that's relatively the same. I was hoping it was Nickelback and Creed. Divorced dad music. Yeah,
I'm
that's
so
Nickelback.
glad he said that. That's what I was gonna say. Divorced Dad Rock. That's like my favorite. Okay, but like Warped Tour wasn't really quite Divorced Dad Rock. Like that, like Divorced Dad Rock is like a subset. You know, it's like Nickelback and like Shinedown. You know, that's Divorced Dad Rock.
Well, if you're looking for Dale Jr.'s Evo Spotify playlist, yeah, you can follow it. Definitely linked and stuff like that. But that was something I didn't expect. And Warped Tour is coming back next year, just saying for his 30th anniversary. Keeping up with Xfinity, we did have Justin Allgaier. Also basically had a really rough race going, everything wrong with the car. Retzlaff and Green got into each other, and Allgaier got his bumper, and then he hit a wall, and then the electric saw thing when he had to pit again. Just it reminded me of that South Park meme that's like, I don't hear no bell, or I didn't hear no bell, and he's like just keeps coming back out in the track, one incident after another, and I was like, Justin, please get your stuff together for 1 second. I felt so bad, almost ran into the wall at the end of the race. It was just it was
It's like
Junior.
it's
It was
like
so
the
dramatic.
downward spiral. Like it starts to happen, and you're like, oh no, we can't get it to stop. Like every time you think that it's gonna be better, it just couldn't get out of his own way. Yeah.
Justin blew it on lap 1 and it was over. It was just over and over. I felt so bad and he kept coming back out. It's like, all right, you got to pit again. You have a saw underneath you. It's just, I did appreciate the broadcast.
Justin almost ran into the wall just to end the race.
He was listening to Dale Jr.'s emo playlist and he's like, you know what? It's just been rough. Someone mentioned that Dale Jr. should run a Warped Tour livery. Oh, that'd be cool. Paint scheme. I was saying IndyCar has the Snake Pit. Why can't the Daytona 500 have Warped Tour stages? I'm just saying, why can't we just have a few bands from the playlist and whenever our credentials? Yeah,
Because
Sheldon Creed.
people at NASCAR races like to drink beer, and you can't
You can
drink
drink beer
beer
to
that
Power.
well.
Yes, you can. You don't want to cry and drink a peach bush light with me? I just like don't understand.
No, a
Fun
peach
time.
bush light. I don't want to cry with a peach bush light.
What do you want? I guess we can dance. There's like dancing music too. I don't know. We'll figure it out. It's not
We'll
like
figure it
no.
out.
That's fun. You can just, like,
Wait, we should make our own Spotify beer drinking playlist that's a mix of both of our songs. So like one song you'll go from like, you know, my dog in my truck, and then like you'll get to yours and it's like ah,
yeah, just like that.
just like that.
I need Justin Moore at the 500. Fine. Justin went from winning at Michigan to downloading Dale Jr.'s Spotify playlist. I got your picture. See that? Dear Di Maria isn't that sad. It's more pop.
Maria, count me in.
Third Eye Blind's pretty
Yeah.
good. I'm saying. Sheldon Creed got his 13th P2. At least he was joking about it.
It's all you can do at this point, right? What's he gonna say?
Sheldon, please.
I just hate it for my guys. Like,
What is he gonna do?
not,
What does he want to do?
sorry.
What were you gonna say?
He wants to win.
Oh
You
no.
said, "What's he gonna do?" I said, "Not win," but that's not correct. I think that was mean. I statistically right now that's how that's going. But no, that was snarky. That was just me, like, you know, whatever. The problem is, I think Sheldon Creed has like all the potential. You're right, Ash. You were talking about it, was last week or 2 weeks ago, that you said sometimes, yes, he screws it up for himself, but I don't think he's screwed it up for himself every time, right? There's been instances where it's just been, you know, circumstantial. So I do want to see him.
Watkins Glen was some darn good luck. It was everyone else took themselves out. And Watkins Glen and he ended up P2 behind Conor Zilisch. That was pretty impressive. That was a good P2. He should be proud of that P2. That's a good one.
Yeah. I'm eating my words.
Sheldon's my guy, not gonna lie, he needs to get a W through. Agreed.
And here's the
But
thing.
Sheldon-
Here's the other thing that I think as well. Sheldon, I promise I'm not just saying this because I just crapped on him, okay? Sheldon, like, has a really great personality. And I think that when I say great personality, I think, like, racer's racer. Like, he's somebody that's, like, very driven. He has an understanding of how this works. And I think that if we could see a more confident Sheldon Creed, I would enjoy having that character in the Xfinity field. You know? I think he would be a little more, like, relaxed. We'd get to see a little more Sheldon.
He's unfortunately on the bubble, though Xfinity is entering their playoffs here in Kansas. He is -3 below the cut, and then AJ Allmendinger -4, Sammy Smith at -9, and Parker Klingerman -12. Above is Riley, Sam Mayer, Jesse Love, Shane Van Gisbergen, Chandler Smith, Austin Hill, Cole Custer, and Justin Allgaier. So he is, but it's like Herbst is +3, Sam Mayer is +4, Jesse Love is +6, right? Like there's still so much to happen in the next couple of races that it's still pretty close. Even though he is below, I still feel pretty good that he'll make it to the end, Sheldon Creed at least. The consistency wins championships, and we're not kidding when I say that about Sheldon Creed and Chase Elliott. Those are my winners. Just because they're so consistent, and then that's going to be proven wrong when one of them gets out in Phoenix, but that's besides the point.
That's true, though. Consistency. He's consistently up there.
He's consistently. I really want to know what kind of curse ritual Austin Hill performed to make Creed P2 for so long. What are you talking about? Austin Hill would never do something like that.
It's the same kind of curse that he put on Atlanta, that like no one else will win there but him. The reconfigured.
No one else will win there but him. For Kansas, Conor Zilisch looks to extend his. Okay, so this headline made me LOL. So it says Conor Zilisch looks to extend his undefeated Xfinity streak this week. His undefeated Xfinity streak is Watkins Glen, his debut race, and that is it. And I understand that is not inherently wrong, but the way that was written makes me LOL. Because It just made it sound like he's been winning 50 races and he's just been around the block a couple times. No, he's won Watkins Glen. He's hoping to win at Kansas, and he said he was excited to race. Got some information from his ARCA guys talking about his crew chief, his spotter and such, and they've been really preparing to do well for Kansas. So I do appreciate it. It is true though. Yeah, it is true. They're not wrong. He's not wrong that it's his undefeated Xfinity streak. But the streak, is it a streak if it's one? I just don't. That's what I'm saying. Okay. That's exact. Me and Jordan in the YouTube chat are on the same page here. And their Xfinity playoffs, yes, it is Kansas. Correct, chat. Their round of 12. So their round of 12 starts at Kansas, and then followed by Talladega, Charlotte, etc. So and Jimmy Johnson is racing for the Cup. That's correct. So we have a lot of people said they're stoked for Kansas, which is that close call. But I think compared to last week, people are freaking ready.
Yeah, I mean, I know I said earlier, like, 7 overtimes at Kansas, but at the same time, like, I could have used an overtime this week. So, like, that gives us, some kind of promise and hope that we're going to see a very exciting race compared to the response to Bristol.
Yeah, but that's just racing. We can never, it's just unpredictable. We can't control it. It's just all a lost cause at some point where we just got to deal the cards that you're dealt. Give us another photo, Finn.
Race fans, you'll never please everybody, right?
Who finishes better this week in their debut with the new team? Corey in the 51 or Justin in the 7? I'm going to go with Justin on that one.
I'm going to go with Justin as well.
Yeah.
Justin Haley is going to do phenomenal things in that 7 car, I think. He's a very talented driver. This is the best opportunity that he's had in the Cup Series as far as equipment goes. I'm very excited to see what he does and is able to kind of, build. Because everybody's gonna, what does he do the first race? Everybody calm down, right? Like, it's a building process, okay? So yeah, I mean, I just keep an eye on that. I think it'll be good.
Yeah, I think Haley can turn them from like a functioning cup team to hopefully like a top 20 borderline playoff contenders. But it'll be interesting. He's younger than Byron, been around for years, keeps the car clean, overachieves in the equipment. I think he'll surprise a lot of people, but I'm not expecting like race win.
Well, Parrot Trek makes a really great point that I didn't even really want to get into, but you bring in Rodney in next year on that car. I mean,
yeah.
What I know about Justin is that, like, I feel like I say this about everybody, but he understands racing. Like, he is very talented because you watch even watching how he races on a super speedway, you can tell that he gets it. He understands the mechanics of how to do that. Like, he's very knowledgeable as a driver. And I think combining somebody like that's able to learn and willing to learn with Rodney, who has, so much knowledge, I think it could be a very dynamic duo.
D7 says in the last 2 years he's been heavily invested in by race-winning teams. He's going to be around a while. Yeah, he's going to be around a while. I think we're going to see Haley for a bit. I don't think it's a make or break for him. I think it's more of like a testing out, see how this goes.
It's definitely not a make or break for him. I think Justin has just been, I don't want to say in as much control, because no driver is ever like in control of their destiny really, but I think Justin has been played just as much of a part in all of these moves as far as, making them better for his career. I don't think he's getting, moved around or downgraded. I think that he's very actively playing a part in making these moves for himself to get where he needs to be successful.
Jess, I know we have to wrap up a little bit, but to ask you one last question, are we going to see you stream now that we made you have a Twitch account for this race, for this broadcast? Are you going to do like iRacing, video games, anything? You have any plans for the Twitch channel?
My gosh. Okay, sure. I just don't know how to do it. So if I can figure it out, like, let's go. But I'm down to go live. Here's the thing, if I go live, I just need people to come hang out and chat with me, because I don't have, like, I don't know what else to do. I'll just talk with my hands. I don't know if that's exciting, but like, Ash, I know you actually play video games, so
yeah, I can. If you want to go live, just let me know and we can figure it out. And Yeah, just you got a camera, you got an internet connection, you're all good to go.
If you like
Easy
to color,
peasy,
you
lemon
can
squeezy.
color.
What more do you need?
What more do you need? Chat, Kansas Truck Series, Friday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. FS1, Kansas Xfinity Series, Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern. CW, the CW. It is on YouTube TV. Someone tried to argue with me on Instagram, and it was wild. Kansas Cup Series, Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern on USA. Will we hope it's a better race than what we better race? Passing. I don't want to see anyone eating anyone for the win. Better race. I mean, I want to see consistent passing. I don't care if someone is leading majority of the races. Some good, clean, fun racing that speeding the pit road penalty doesn't cost you completely the race. That is what I'm excited for on Kansas. And then we, meaning me and Jess, will get to talk about it all again next week, Wednesday, 1 p.m. Hope you guys will join us. We'll be back here to talk about Kansas. And then just keep previewing what's up, up and coming. So, chat, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you, Twitch, for your patience with the audio. Thank you, Erica, for your time. Thank you, NASCAR, for having us. And if you don't see me next week, it's because I started a conspiracy theory and Jess will take over the show. And we will see you next week. Have a good race weekend, everyone. Support local, including your racetracks. Drink water. Birds are government drones. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, I'm Parker Kligerman, and you're watching the NASCAR Twitch channel. For more content like this, be sure to subscribe to NASCAR on Twitch.
I'm Ryan Flores. Join Kim Kuhn and myself each and every week at Around the Track. We'll get you ready for the upcoming race weekends from short tracks to the Cup Series, whether you'll be attending in person or watching from home.
Coming your way each week is the best bets to win some easy money and driver suggestions to help pump up your fantasy lineups. Around the Track also tells you what to watch for in the NASCAR Regional Series and which young phenom drivers to keep your eye on.
Plus, our At Traction segment gives you all of the fan activities, concerts, and tailgating fun at the track. Be sure to check out Around the Track each and every Wednesday on NASCAR's YouTube channel.
Join Todd Goyne and myself each week for NASCAR Inside the Race. We'll break down exactly how the race was won.
Plus, we'll dive into the data and go in depth on race strategies, penalties, and rule changes.
Catch NASCAR Inside the Race presented by Consumer Cellular each Tuesday on NASCAR's YouTube channel.
Hey guys, I'm Corey LaJoy, driver of the number 7 car. Join my buddy Ryan Flores. Every week we stack some pennies. Talk about NASCAR Cup Series right out of my windshield.
Plus, we'll give out the dogs of the week for the best pit crews and pit crew guys from the weekend. We'll break down all the money stops, all the woes, get into some technical issues, and we'll also answer all of your hashtag Penny for Your Thoughts questions.
And we have a ton of guests. Sometimes SVG pops by. We got Raja. We have all sorts of guys. You never know who's going to pop in the Nonsense Garage, but make sure you tune in. SiriusXM on Tuesdays, YouTube on Wednesdays, wherever you find your podcast on Wednesday.